I was at a family gathering when my mom asked, "Are you excited to turn 23?" The question stopped me mid-bite of potato salad. I looked up from my plate at the backyard, full of relatives celebrating my birthday. My mom was smiling at me, waiting for an answer. Aunt Rachel was nodding enthusiastically. My younger brother Kyle was texting on his phone, not paying attention. "I'm turning 24, I said slowly. "Not 23. Mom laughed, that nervous laugh she does when she thinks I'm joking. "Honey, you were born in 2002. It's 2025. That makes you 23. She said it like she was explaining basic math to a child. But I wasn't born in 2002. I was born in 2001. I'd always been a year ahead in school because my birthday fell right after the cutoff. I'd graduated high school at 17, started college at 18, and I'd been tracking my age correctly for my entire life. "You're thinking of Kyle," I said, pointing at my brother. "He was born in 2003. I'm older." Mom exchanged a look with my dad that I couldn't read. Then Dad cleared his throat and said maybe I'd had too much sun, that I should go inside and cool off for a bit. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I looked around at my other relatives, Uncle Pete, Aunt Rachel, my grandparents. They were all watching me with these careful expressions, like I was a bomb that might go off. Nobody was disagreeing with Mom. Nobody was backing me up. Kyle finally looked up from his phone. "Dude, you're 23. Why are you being weird about this?" But I wasn't being weird. I knew my own birthday, the 14th of September, 2001. I'd celebrated 23 birthdays already. This was supposed to be number 24. I went inside like Dad suggested, but not to cool off. I went to my old bedroom and started looking through the boxes I'd stored there after moving out for college. I found my high school diploma first, class of 2019. I stared at it for a full minute. That was right. I'd graduated in 2019, at 17, because I was born in 2001. But then I found my birth certificate in an old folder, and my hands started shaking. The 14th of September, 2002. The paper looked official. State seal, hospital name, both my parents' signatures. I grabbed my phone and pulled up my driver's license. Date of birth, the 14th of September, 2002. How had I never noticed this before? I went back outside and asked my mom to see the photo albums. She hesitated, then brought out 3 thick books from the hall closet. I flipped through pages of baby pictures, toddler pictures, elementary school photos, but something was wrong. There were no pictures of me as a baby before I was about 15 months old. Every other kid in our family had hospital photos, coming home from hospital photos, first month photos. Mine started randomly in the middle of my second year. "Where are my newborn pictures?" I asked. Mom's face went pale. "We lost those in a move, honey. You know that, but I didn't know that. She'd never told me that before." I kept flipping. Found a gap between ages 6 and 7. No pictures from first grade at all. Then second grade started with me at a completely different school than I remembered attending. I closed the album and looked at my mom. Her hands were trembling. Dad had come to stand in the doorway, blocking it with his body. "Why don't I remember first grade?" I asked quietly. "You were homeschooled that year," Mom said quickly. "Because you were sick." "What was I sick with?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Couldn't seem to find an answer. That night I couldn't sleep, so I did what I should have done hours earlier. I googled my own name plus missing child. The results loaded slowly, and when they did, my stomach dropped. There was a news article from September 2001. Local family searches for missing son, and there was a photo. A 7-year-old boy with my exact face, reported missing from a town 3 states away. His name was different, but everything else matched. The birth date, the physical description, even the small scar above my left eyebrow that I'd always been told came from falling off my bike. I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my room, slow, deliberate. Then my door handle started to turn, and that's when I realized what happens when you ask too many questions about the year that doesn't exist. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. I don't hesitate. The moment I hear the door handle turning, I slide open my bedroom window, thankful that the old house has no screens. I swing one leg out, then the other, dropping into the flower bed below with a soft thud. The fall jars my ankles, but I don't stop. Can't stop. I sprint across our backyard toward the fence, my heart hammering against my ribs. Behind me, I hear the bedroom door swing open. "Jacob?" My mother, no, not my mother, calls out. Her voice rises in panic when she realizes I'm gone. "He's not here. Check outside." I vault over the fence into the Hendersons' yard, my hands shaking so badly I nearly drop my phone. The article is still open on my screen, the face of 7-year-old me staring back. "Jacob Mitchell, reported missing 17 years ago. My real name, he jumped the fence." My father's voice carries through the night air. "I can see him in the neighbor's yard." I cut across the Hendersons' property, ducking behind their shed. My fingers fumble with the Uber app as I request a ride, dropping the pin a block away. "Police station." I type as the destination. 4 minutes until pickup. I need to keep moving. I stay close to the hedges, moving from yard to yard through the neighborhood where I grew up, except I didn't grow up here. Not really. Not for the first 7 years of my life. The thought makes me dizzy, but I push forward. The Uber arrives exactly when promised. A blue Honda with a tired-looking driver who barely glances at me as I slide into the back seat. "Police station, right?" he confirms, and I nod, not trusting my voice. "Everything okay?" he asks, catching my expression in the rearview mirror. "Just need to file a report." I manage, my voice steadier than I feel. He shrugs and pulls away from the curb. I watch the neighborhood recede through the back window, half expecting to see my parents, my kidnappers chasing after us. The 15-minute ride feels like hours. I keep the article open on my phone, comparing the photo to my face in the dark reflection of the window. Same eyes, same scar above my left eyebrow. Not from falling off a bike after all. The police station is quiet when I arrive. Only one officer sits at the front desk, an older man with salt and pepper hair and a nameplate that reads Jenkins. He looks up when I approach, his expression shifting from boredom to concern as he takes in my disheveled appearance. "I need help," I say, my voice cracking. "I think I was kidnapped 17 years ago." Officer Jenkins straightens in his chair. "That's a serious claim, son. Why don't you sit down and tell me what's going on?" I slide my phone across the desk, the article still displayed on the screen. "This is me, Jacob Mitchell. I was taken when I was 7 years old, but I didn't know. They told me I was someone else." He studies the photo, then looks at my face, his eyes lingering on the scar above my eyebrow. "You do bear a resemblance," he says says carefully. But we need more than that. I pull out my wallet, showing him my driver's license with the birth date that never felt right. This says I was born in 2002, but I was actually born in 2001, September 14th. I found my birth certificate tonight, but something felt wrong. The family photo albums have no pictures of me before 15 months old, and there's a whole year missing when I was 7. Jenkins takes notes as I speak, his expression growing more serious. Do you have any identification with your current name? I hand over my license. He examines it, then picks up his phone and begins typing into a computer database. I'm going to run a search for the original case file, he explains. While he works, I sit with my hands clasped between my knees to stop them from shaking. The station is eerily quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the clicking of Jenkins' keyboard. Here we go, he finally says. Jacob Mitchell, reported missing September 20th, 2008, from Nashville, Tennessee. Parents Michael and Rebecca Mitchell. He turns the screen toward me. That's the original missing persons report. I stare at the screen, at the photo of the smiling 7-year-old boy who disappeared on his way home from school. Me, the boy I don't remember being. The front doors of the station burst open, and I know who it is before I even turn around. My parents, the people I thought were my parents, rush in, their faces pale with panic. There he is! My father points at me, relief washing over his features before hardening into something else. Officer, thank God you found him. Our son is having some kind of psychotic break. My mother rushes to my side, trying to put her arm around me. I flinch away. Honey, you scared us to death, she says, her voice trembling. Why would you run away like that? Officer Jenkins stands, his hand raised. Sir, ma'am, I need you both to step back. Your son has made some serious allegations that we need to investigate. Allegations? My father's face reddens. What are you talking about? He's mentally ill. He stopped taking his medication a few weeks ago. We've been trying to get him back on it. I shake my head violently. I've never been on medication. That's a lie. One. Jenkins looks between us, his expression unreadable. Sir, are you aware that your son matches the description and photo of a child who went missing 17 years ago? A child named Jacob Mitchell? My mother's face drains of all color. My father's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. That's ridiculous, he finally manages. Our son was born in 2002. We have his birth certificate, which could be forged, Jenkins points out. He turns to another officer who has appeared at his side. Peterson, run a search in the national database for Jacob Mitchell, missing since 2008. Peterson nods and disappears into a back room. My father grows more agitated, pacing in front of the desk. This is insane. We're his parents. We raised him. This is clearly some kind of delusion. Then you won't mind if we clear things up with a DNA test, Jenkins says calmly. If you're his biological parents, that will be easy to prove. My mother starts to cry, quiet sobs that shake her shoulders. My father puts his arm around her, but his eyes are on me, pleading. Son, please. You know us. We're your family. Whatever you think you found. The article has my face, I say, my voice steadier now. My exact face, at 7 years old. The birth date matches what I've always believed. And there's a whole year of my life that's missing from the photo albums. You said I was sick, but you can't even tell me what I had. Peterson returns, holding a printout. Found it in the database. Jacob Mitchell, reported missing September 20th, 2008, from Nashville, Tennessee. He hands the paper to Jenkins, who studies it carefully. The resemblance is uncanny, Jenkins says, and the timing matches the gap in your family photos. He looks up at my parents. I think we need to take this seriously. This is outrageous, my father sputters, but there's fear in his eyes now. Real fear. Jenkins turns to Peterson. Call the DA's office. We need to get a court order for DNA testing immediately. He needs psychiatric help, my mother shrieks suddenly, lunging toward me. He's having a breakdown. Please, you have to let us take him to the hospital. Two officers step between us, gently restraining her. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down, Jenkins says firmly. You don't understand, my father pleads. He's been having these delusions for weeks. He needs professional help, not police interrogation. But I can see in Jenkins' eyes that he doesn't believe them. He's seen too many cases, too many lies, and something about my story, or perhaps the fear in my parents' reactions, has convinced him. I'm placing both of you under arrest pending investigation, Jenkins says, his voice calm but authoritative. You have the right to remain silent. As the officers lead my parents away, my mother's screams echo through the station. He needs his medication. Please, he doesn't know what he's saying. I sit alone in the hard plastic chair, watching the people I called mom and dad for 17 years being led away in handcuffs, and I feel nothing but a strange, hollow relief. Officer Jenkins returns to me, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. We've contacted Child Services. They'll arrange emergency foster placement while we investigate, and we'll expedite the DNA testing. He pauses. If what you're saying is true, your real parents have been waiting a very long time to find you. My real parents. People I don't remember. People who have been searching for me for 17 years, while I lived just 3 states away, never knowing who I really was. What happens now? I ask, my voice small. Now, Jenkins says, we find out who you really are, Jacob. The name feels foreign on my ears. Jacob Mitchell. Not the name I've been using my whole life, but the name I was born with. My true identity, buried under years of lies and a missing year I can't remember. I nod slowly, wondering if I'll ever feel like Jacob again, or if that 7-year-old boy is lost forever. The social worker's name is Elaine Morales, and she speaks with the soft, measured cadence of someone who's seen too much trauma to be shocked by anything anymore. She drives me to the foster home in silence, occasionally glancing at me in the rearview mirror as if to make sure I haven't disappeared. It's temporary, she explains, as we pull up to a modest 2-story house in a neighborhood I've never visited, despite living just 20 minutes away my entire life. Just until we sort everything out. Sort everything out. Such a simple phrase for the complete demolition of my reality. The Dawsons are experienced foster parents who specialize in emergency placements. They greet me with practiced smiles that don't quite reach their eyes, not because they're unkind, but because they've welcomed dozens of shell-shocked teenagers into their home and know better than to expect normal social responses. You can call me Linda, Mrs. Dawson says, showing me to a sparse bedroom with blue walls, bathrooms across the hall, towels in the linen closet, dinners at 6. I nod, setting my hastily packed backpack on the twin bed. Officer Jenkins had let me go home supervised to collect some belongings while my parents were being processed. The house had felt like a museum of lies. Every photo on the wall now suspect, every memory tainted. The DNA results should be back within 48 hours, Elaine tells me before she leaves. They've expedited everything given the circumstances. That night, I lie awake staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, wondering who Jacob Mitchell really is. Am I him? Or am I still the person I've believed myself to be for 17 years? The identity crisis is so profound it feels physical, like my skin doesn't quite fit anymore. 2 days later, Elaine returns with a manila folder and a grave expression. The DNA results are conclusive, she says, sitting across from me at the Dawson's kitchen table. You are Jacob Mitchell, reported missing from Nashville, Tennessee on September 20th, 2008. Even though I'd known it was true from the moment I saw that article, hearing it confirmed sends a wave of dizziness through me, so intense I have to grip the edge of the table. Your biological parents have been notified, she continues. Michael and Rebecca Mitchell. They're flying in tomorrow morning. What? My voice cracks. I clear my throat and try again. What are they like? Elaine's expression softens. They never stopped looking for you, Jacob. Every year on your birthday and on the anniversary of your disappearance, they'd hold press conferences, distribute updated age progression photos. Your father started a foundation for missing children. Your mother volunteers with search and rescue teams. I try to imagine these strangers who have spent 17 years searching for me, while I lived oblivious just 3 states away. There's something else you should know, Elaine says, shifting in her chair. You may experience something called Stockholm Syndrome. It's when kidnapping victims develop emotional attachments to their captors. It's completely normal if you still feel loyalty or love toward the Petersons. The Petersons, my parents. Except they're not my parents. They're David and Margaret Peterson, and they stole me. What about Kyle? I ask suddenly, thinking of my younger brother. No, not my brother. Does he know? Kyle Peterson is being questioned, but there's no evidence he knew anything about your kidnapping. He was only 5 when it happened. A knock at the door interrupts us. Linda answers it, and I hear hushed voices in the entryway. She returns, looking uncomfortable. There are reporters outside, she says. Someone leaked the story. By evening, the street is lined with news vans. I watch from between the blinds as reporters do stand-ups on the sidewalk, gesturing toward the house where the kidnapped boy found after 17 years is staying. My phone buzzes constantly with messages from friends who've seen the news, asking if it's true, if I'm okay, what happened. I ignore them all except for one Kyle. Can we talk? His text reads, not at the house, somewhere private. Despite Elaine's warnings about no contact with the Petersons, I sneak out the back door after the Dawsons go to bed. Kyle is waiting at the corner, hunched in his hoodie, looking smaller than his 19 years. I swear I didn't know, he says as soon as I approach. His eyes are red-rimmed, his face pale. I never suspected anything. You were just always my big brother. I believe him. Kyle was born in 2003, a year after they claimed I was born. He grew up thinking I was 14 months older than him, not 26 months. Did they tell you anything? I ask as we walk aimlessly through the quiet streets. Kyle nods, wiping his nose on his sleeve. They couldn't have kids. Mom had 3 miscarriages before they took you. Dad said they were desperate, that they saw you playing alone at a park and just took you. He looks away. They made it sound like they saved you, like your real parents were neglectful or something. Were they? I ask, suddenly desperate to know. No, Kyle says quietly. The police showed me articles about your disappearance. Your parents seemed like good people, normal people. They were devastated. We walk in silence for a while before Kyle speaks again. What happens now? I meet my real parents tomorrow, I say, the words still strange on my tongue. And then, I don't know. The next morning, I'm sitting rigid on the Dawson's couch when the doorbell rings. Elaine answers it, and there's a moment of murmured conversation before she leads them in. Michael and Rebecca Mitchell stand in the doorway, staring at me like I'm a ghost. They're older than the photos I've seen online. He's balding now, with gray at his temples, and she has fine lines around her eyes, but I recognize them instantly. Or maybe I just want to. Jacob, my mother, my real mother, whispers, her hand covering her mouth. She takes a step forward, then stops, clearly afraid of overwhelming me. I stand awkwardly, not knowing what to do with my hands, my face, my body. These people are my parents, but they're strangers. I have their DNA, but I don't have memories of them. We brought some pictures, my father says, his voice thick. If you want to see them. We sit at the Dawson's dining table, and they open a photo album. Baby pictures I've never seen. A toddler with my eyes and nose wearing overalls. A preschooler blowing out birthday candles. A kindergartner in a soccer uniform. This was your 6th birthday, my mother says, pointing to a photo of me, of Jacob grinning with a missing front tooth. You asked for a dinosaur cake and threw a fit when the bakery made it green instead of blue. Something flickers in my mind, a memory of blue frosting, of disappointment, of someone promising to fix it. It's gone before I can grasp it, like trying to hold smoke. You loved dinosaurs, my father continues, turning the page. You knew all their names, even the complicated ones. You'd correct adults if they pronounced them wrong. Another flash standing in a museum, looking up at a massive skeleton, proudly announcing, that's a Parasaurolophus, to an impressed tour guide. By the time we reach the last photos taken just weeks before I disappeared, I'm trembling. Fragments of memories are surfacing, disconnected and hazy, but undeniably real. A blue bedroom with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, a treehouse in the backyard, a dog named Rusty who slept at the foot of my bed. You remember something, my mother says, watching my face closely. Pieces, I admit, just fragments. She reaches out hesitantly, then pulls back. May I? I nod, and she takes my hand in hers. It feels both foreign and familiar, like a dream I can't quite recall upon waking. We never gave up hope, she says, her voice breaking. Not for one day in 17 years. I look into her eyes, my eyes, the same shape and color, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I feel something like recognition stirring in the depths of my fractured memory. I want to remember, I whisper. I want to know who Jacob Mitchell is. You will, my father says, his hand joining ours on the table. We'll help you. We have time now. All the time in the world. Outside, reporters still crowd the sidewalk, waiting for a a glimpse of the boy who came back from the dead. But in here, in this quiet moment with these strangers who are my blood, I begin the long journey of becoming Jacob Mitchell again. The jail's visiting room smells like industrial cleaner and desperation. A row of plastic chairs bolted to the floor face a thick glass partition, and I sit rigidly in one, my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles have gone white. On the other side, Margaret Peterson, the woman I called mom for 17 years, enters wearing an orange jumpsuit that hangs loose on her frame. She's lost weight in the 2 weeks since her arrest. Her eyes light up when she sees me, and for a moment I see the mother who packed my lunches and cheered at my soccer games. Then reality crashes back. This woman stole me from my real family, erased my identity, and lied to me my entire life. Jacob, she says, sitting down and reaching for the phone. I flinch at the name, still foreign to my ears despite knowing it's truly mine. I pick up my receiver slowly. I need answers, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. About the missing year. Her face crumples. I don't know what you're talking about. When I was 7, the year with no pictures. The year you claimed I was so sick I couldn't go to school. I lean forward, pressing my palm against the glass. That was when you took me, wasn't it? That's when you erased Jacob Mitchell and created someone new. She looks down at her hands, and I know I've hit the mark. We loved you, she whispers. From the moment we saw you. David and I had tried for so long to have children. Stop. My voice cracks. I don't want excuses. I want the truth. What happened during that year? Why can't I remember anything before waking up in your house? Her eyes dart to the guard standing by the door, then back to me. You were never sick, she admits finally. That was a cover story for the procedures. Procedures? Ice slides down my spine. There's a doctor, not a licensed one anymore, who specializes in certain memory techniques. She swallows hard. David found him through an online forum for adoptive parents of traumatized children. He claimed he could help children forget painful pasts. The room tilts slightly. You had someone erase my memories? Not erase, she says quickly. Just suppress. You kept asking for your real parents. You'd cry at night calling for them. We were afraid you'd remember enough to tell someone. Bile rises in my throat. So instead of returning me to my family, you hired someone to wipe my brain? It wasn't like that, she insists, tears welling in her eyes. It was gentle. Hypnosis, mostly. Some medication. You were happier afterward. You stopped having nightmares. Because you stole my past. I slam my palm against the glass, making her jump. The guard takes a step forward, but I hold up my hand to show I'm calming down. Who was this doctor? What exactly did he do to me? She hesitates, then sighs. His name was Dr. Whitaker, Raymond Whitaker. He'd lost his medical license for experimental treatments, but David found testimonials from other parents who said he could help children forget traumatic events or help kidnappers cover their tracks. I say bitterly. We met him at a motel in Kentucky, 3 sessions over 2 months. Her voice has gone flat, mechanical. You'd wake up confused afterward, but he said that was normal. By the 3rd session, you stopped asking about your real parents. You started calling us mom and dad without prompting. I feel sick imagining it 7-year-old me, drugged and manipulated. My real identity being systematically erased by strangers. Is that why you homeschooled me that year? To make sure the brainwashing took? She flinches at the word brainwashing, but nods. We couldn't risk you remembering at school, telling a teacher. And then you had Kyle, I say, the timeline suddenly making sense. A real child of your own. We'd been trying for years, she whispers. The doctor said stress was preventing conception. After we had you, I got pregnant within months. I laugh, a hollow sound that echoes in the small space. So, kidnapping me cured your infertility. How convenient. Jacob, please, stop calling me that. I snap, then immediately regret it. It is my name after all, my real name. I take a deep breath. The psychologist says I might be able to recover those memories, the ones you paid to have buried. Fear flashes across her face. Why would you want to? They'll only hurt you. Gakdar do, because they're mine, I say simply. You stole enough from me. You don't get to keep my memories too. The guard announces that visiting time is ending. Margaret, I can't think of her as mom anymore, presses her hand against the glass. We loved you, she says again, tears streaming down her face. Whatever you think of us now, please know that we loved you like our own. I stand up, looking down at this stranger in an orange jumpsuit. That was the problem, I say quietly. I wasn't your own. I hang up the phone and walk away without looking back. Dr. Marissa Levine specializes in trauma recovery and memory retrieval. Her office is filled with soft lighting and plants, designed to be soothing, but nothing can calm the storm inside me as I recount what Margaret told me about Dr. Whitaker and the procedures. Memory suppression through hypnosis and medication is controversial but not unheard of. Dr. Levine explains, making notes on her tablet, especially with children whose memories are still forming. The good news is that those memories may not be gone, just buried. Can you help me find them? I ask. She nods slowly. Through a combination of hypnotherapy, guided meditation, and possibly EMDR eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It won't be quick or easy, and we may only recover fragments. I'll take fragments over nothing. Our first session leaves me exhausted and frustrated. I remember flashes of blue bedroom ceiling with glow-in-the-dark stars, a dog licking my face, a woman's voice singing a lullaby, but nothing substantial, nothing I can grab onto. It's a start, Dr. Levine assures me. Memory recovery isn't linear. Sometimes it comes in waves. Michael and Rebecca Mitchell, my real parents, are staying at a hotel nearby, giving me space while remaining close. We meet for dinner 3 times a week, and each time they bring more photos, more stories about 7-year-old Jacob. You were obsessed with dinosaurs, my father tells me over pasta at an Italian restaurant. You could pronounce Pachycephalosaurus before you could tie your shoes. You hated green vegetables but would eat them if we pretended they gave you superpowers, my mother adds, smiling at the memory. With each story, something inside me stirs not quite recognition, but a sense of rightness, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Did I have a dog named Rusty? I ask suddenly, the memory from Dr. Levine's session surfacing. They freeze, exchanging a look of shock. Yes, my father says, his voice thick with emotion. A golden retriever. He slept at the foot of your bed every night. You remembered that? My mother's eyes fill with tears. Just a flash, I admit. Him licking my face to wake me up. She reaches across across the table to squeeze my hand. That's how he got you up for school every morning. We never even had to use an alarm clock. The preliminary hearing arrives faster than I expected. I sit in the witness box, looking out at the courtroom where David and Margaret Peterson sit with their defense attorneys. Kyle is in the back row, his face pale and drawn. We haven't spoken since that night we snuck out to talk, but he sends me texts occasionally to check if I'm okay. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman named Vanessa Torres, guides me through my testimony, finding the article, realizing the truth, escaping to the police station. When I describe what Margaret told me about Dr. Whitaker and the memory suppression, gasps ripple through the courtroom. During cross-examination, the defense attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit, tries a different approach. Isn't it possible your biological parents were neglectful? That the Petersons truly believed they were rescuing you from a bad situation? No, I say firmly. The police investigation found no evidence of abuse or neglect. My biological parents were loving, stable people who searched for me for 17 years. But you don't remember them, he counters. You're taking their word for it. I'm starting to remember, I say. And even if I wasn't, kidnapping is still kidnapping. The defense calls Kyle to the stand next. He looks terrified, his eyes darting between his parents and me. Did Jacob ever seem unhappy in your home? The defense attorney asks. Kyle swallows hard. No, he seemed normal, happy, mostly. And your parents, were they loving toward both of you? Yes, Kyle says quietly. They loved us both. So nothing ever seemed wrong or suspicious to you? Kyle hesitates, glancing at me. I didn't think so at the time, but looking back, there were things. The defense attorney frowns. What kind of things? Dad was always weird about Jacob's birth certificate. He kept it locked in the safe and got angry when I asked to see mine once. And Mom would get this look sometimes when people asked about Jacob as a baby, this tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. Kyle straightens his shoulders, and there were no baby pictures of him before he was like a year old. I always thought that was weird, but they said the photos were damaged in a basement flood. Did you ever suspect they weren't his real parents? No, Kyle admits, but I should have. There were so many signs. Looking back, I just didn't want to see them. As Kyle steps down from the witness stand, our eyes meet. He mouths, "I'm sorry," and I nod, letting him know I don't blame him. He was a child too, caught in a web of lies not of his making. The judge orders the case to proceed to trial, denying bail for both Petersons due to flight risk. As the courtroom empties, I stand between Michael and Rebecca Mitchell, my real parents, feeling the weight of two families, two identities, pressing down on me. Are you okay? Rebecca asks softly, her hand on my shoulder. I look at these people who have waited 17 years to find me, who never gave up hope, who are now patiently helping me piece together the shattered fragments of Jacob Mitchell. No, I answer honestly, but I think someday I might be. The courtroom is silent as Judge Martinez delivers his ruling. The Petersons have accepted a plea deal 15 years each for kidnapping, child endangerment, and conspiracy. Their attorney stands beside them, a hand on Margaret's shoulder as she sobs quietly. David stares straight ahead, his face a mask of resignation. I sit between my biological parents, feeling their tension radiating through the wooden bench. The defendants will be remanded to custody immediately to begin serving their sentences, Judge Martinez announces, his gavel striking with finality. As the bailiff leads the Petersons away, Margaret turns toward me, her eyes pleading. I look away, focusing instead on a water stain on the ceiling. 15 years doesn't seem enough for stealing 17 years of my life, but the prosecutor explained that a trial would be traumatic and the outcome uncertain. This way, there's no appeal, no drawn-out legal battle, just closure. Or what passes for closure in a situation like this? Are you okay? Rebecca, my real mother, whispers, her hand finding mine. I nod, not trusting my voice. The truth is, I don't know what okay means anymore. My life has become a before and after story, with the dividing line being that moment I discovered the article about missing 7-year-old Jacob Mitchell. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm us like locusts, shouting questions and thrusting microphones toward my face. Michael, my biological father, shields me with his body as we push through to the waiting car. Jacob, how does it feel knowing your kidnappers will spend 15 years in prison? Jacob, will you be changing your name back officially? Jacob, do you remember anything from before your abduction? The questions blur together as we slide into the backseat of the SUV. The driver pulls away from the curb, leaving the media frenzy behind. You don't have to talk to any of them, Michael assures me. Your story is yours to tell when and if you want to. 2 days later, I'm packing my room at the Dawson's foster home. My clothes, books, and the few personal items I grabbed during that supervised visit to the Petersons' house fit into 2 suitcases. It's strange how little of my life I'm taking with me to Tennessee. Linda Dawson appears in the doorway holding a plate of cookies. A little going-away snack, she says with a gentle smile. You've been a good house guest, Jacob. I take a cookie, grateful for her kindness. Thanks for everything. Sorry about all the reporters camping outside your house. She waves dismissively. They'll find someone else to harass soon enough. Her expression softens. How are you feeling about the move? I consider the question carefully. Nervous, excited, confused. All of it at once. That's understandable. It's a lot to process. She hesitates. That boy's been calling again. Kyle. He really wants to talk to you before you leave. My chest tightens at the mention of Kyle. Not my brother, never truly my brother, but still someone I grew up with. Someone who's as much a victim in this as I am. Tell him I'll meet him at the park tomorrow morning. 8 o'clock. The next day, Kyle is already waiting on a bench when I arrive. He looks smaller somehow, hunched in his jacket against the morning chill. When he sees me, he stands awkwardly, hands shoved in his pockets. You're really leaving, he says. It's not a question. Yeah, day after tomorrow. Michael and Rebecca, my parents, they've got a room ready for me at their house in Nashville. Kyle nods, scuffing his shoe against the ground. Will you come back? To visit, I mean? I don't know. The honest answer hurts us both. Maybe someday. I'm sorry, he blurts out suddenly. I should have known something was wrong. All those weird things about your past, the missing photos, the way they'd change the subject whenever anyone asked certain questions. Kyle, I interrupt. You were a kid too. 5 years old when they took me. This isn't on you. He looks up, his eyes red-rimmed. They're my parents, and I love them, but what they did was monstrous. I don't know how to reconcile those two things. I sit beside him on the bench, both of us staring at the empty playground. I don't have answers for that. I'm still still trying to figure out who I am, Jacob, or the person I thought I was for 17 years. You're both, Kyle says quietly. You can't erase either part of yourself. His words hit me with unexpected force because he's right. No matter how much I want to be purely Jacob Mitchell, the boy who was stolen, I can't erase 17 years of experiences, relationships, and memories, even if they were built on lies. I'll stay in touch, I promise, surprising myself. Whatever happened, you're still important to me. 2 days later, I'm on a plane to Nashville with Michael and Rebecca. The flight attendant calls me sir as she offers a beverage, and I have a moment of disorientation. Part of me still expects to be called by my other name, the one I answered to for 17 years. We've set up your room, Rebecca says, her voice tentative, but you can change anything you don't like. Paint color, furniture, whatever you want. We kept some of your old things, Michael adds. Your dinosaur collection, your favorite books, but we bought new stuff too. We didn't want it to feel like a shrine to 7-year-old Jacob. Their thoughtfulness touches me. They've been walking this impossible line, honoring who I was when they lost me without ignoring who I've become in the intervening years. Nashville is humid and green, so different from the dry climate I'm used to. As we drive from the airport to our home, fragments of memory tease at the edges of my consciousness. A playground with a red slide, a convenience store with a distinctive sign. Nothing concrete, just flashes that disappear when I try to focus on them. The house is a 2-story colonial with a wide front porch and hanging flower baskets. It's not the house from my childhood. They moved a few years after my disappearance, unable to bear the memories, but something about the neighborhood feels familiar nonetheless. Your grandmother lives 3 streets over, Rebecca explains as we pull into the driveway. And your cousin Emma is at Vanderbilt now, studying engineering. Everyone's so excited to meet you again. The word again hangs in the air. To them, I'm someone returning. To me, they're strangers I'm meeting for the first time, except they're not. They're my blood, my history, the people who never stopped searching for me. My room is on the 2nd floor, painted a soft blue with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, just like in the fragments of memory I've recovered. A bookshelf holds dinosaur models alongside modern novels and college reference books. The bed is made with a navy comforter, not childish, but not aggressively adult either. We can change anything, Michael says again, hovering in the doorway. It's perfect, I tell him, and mean it. The next day, I meet with Dr. Caroline Winters, a trauma specialist who works specifically with recovered abduction victims. Her office is in a converted Victorian house near Vanderbilt University. Your case is unusual, she says after I've explained everything. Most abducted children who are recovered either remember their original families or were taken so young they have no memories to recover. The deliberate suppression of your memories presents unique challenges. But it's possible to recover them? She nods cautiously. Some of them, yes, through hypnosis, EMDR, and other techniques. But Jacob, I want you to be prepared. Memory recovery isn't like finding a lost object. It's fragmentary, emotionally intense, and sometimes the memories that return first are the most traumatic ones. I need to try, I insist. I need to know who I was before they took me. Our first session leaves me drained but hopeful. Under hypnosis, I remember a birthday party turning 6, blowing out candles on a dinosaur cake, a dog barking excitedly at my feet. The memory is vivid, complete with the smell of chocolate frosting and the sound of my mother Rebecca laughing as I make a wish. That's a real memory, Rebecca confirms when I describe it to her later. Your 6th birthday, you wished for a real dinosaur, and when we explained that wasn't possible, you settled for a trip to the Natural History Museum instead. Each recovered memory feels like reclaiming a piece of myself that was stolen. Some are mundane, walking to school with a friend named Tyler, watching Saturday morning cartoons in pajamas with dinosaur prints. Others are more significant: my first day of kindergarten, learning to ride a bike, the day we brought Rusty home from the shelter. But the memories stop abruptly at age 7. I can remember the morning of September 20th, 2008, eating cereal, arguing with my mom about wearing a jacket, walking to the bus stop at the end of our street. Then nothing until waking up in the Petersons' house, confused and disoriented, being told I'd been very sick but was getting better now. Dr. Winters warns me that the abduction itself may be the hardest memory to recover, possibly locked behind the strongest barriers erected by Dr. Whitaker's procedures. Your brain may be protecting you, she explains. Sometimes, not remembering is a survival mechanism. 3 weeks after moving to Nashville, I enroll in online courses at Tennessee State University. I've decided to major in psychology with a focus on trauma recovery. It feels right, using my experience to help others someday. Michael and Rebecca support my decision completely. Whatever you want to do, we'll help you get there, Michael says, his hand on my shoulder. The media interest in my case gradually subsides as newer stories take precedence. I've declined all interview requests, though my lawyer says book publishers have been calling with substantial offers for my story. Maybe someday I'll be ready to tell it, but not yet. I'm still living it, still discovering who Jacob Mitchell is and who he might become. In October, I fly back for the Petersons' formal sentencing hearing. Kyle meets me at the airport, and the awkwardness between us has softened into something more complex but less painful. How's Tennessee? He asks as we drive to the courthouse. Different. Good different, mostly. I'm remembering more all the time. He nods, eyes on the road. I'm starting community college next semester. Psychology, actually. Guess we had the same idea. I smile at the coincidence. We'll have to compare notes. At the courthouse, I read my victim impact statement, looking directly at the Petersons as I speak about the life they stole, the memories they erased, the identity they tried to replace with a fiction of their creation. Despite everything you did to erase Jacob Mitchell, I conclude, he survived, I survived, and now I'm reclaiming the life you tried to steal from me. Margaret weeps silently. David stares at his hands. Neither speaks when given the opportunity, their lawyers having advised against it. As I leave the courtroom with Kyle beside me, a reporter shouts a question. Jacob, do you forgive your kidnappers? I pause, considering. Forgiveness isn't a destination, I finally answer. It's a process. I'm focused on healing, not on forgiving. Back in Nashville, I joined a support group for recovered abduction victims. There are only 5 of us, each with different stories, different traumas, but a shared experience of having our lives interrupted, our identities fractured. Some days I don't know who I I am, admits Eliza, who was found after 8 years in captivity. The person I was before, or the person I became to survive. You're both, I tell her, echoing Kyle's words. We all are. In November, I start writing. Not a memoir. I'm not ready for that, but journal entries, fragments of recovered memories, reflections on living between identities. Dr. Winters encourages this as part of my therapy, but it becomes more than that. It becomes a way of integrating my past and present, of acknowledging both the 7-year-old boy who disappeared and the 24-year-old man who found his way back. On my birthday, my real birthday, September 14th, Rebecca bakes a chocolate cake with Lou frosting, just as I'd remembered from that early hypnosis session. The whole extended Mitchell family gathers to celebrate, faces both strange and somehow familiar surrounding me with love. As I blow out the candles, I make a wish not for answers or memories or even closure, but for the strength to build a future that honors both sides of my fractured life. Jacob Mitchell is home, but the journey of becoming fully myself has only just begun.